So first of all, search everywhere. It's an expression that people are using more and more, not just because of AI. And there has been a kind of landscape that has been changing in and around search. And so most of us are familiar, obviously, and most of our job historically has been thinking about search very much in the context of search engines, and that's where a lot of the skills and knowledge has built up. SEO knowledge, particularly around Google, but also, of course, other search engines. And that's in terms of people's behavior. That's still, as we'll come on and share, that's still a place where search for facts and latest information is directed and takes place primarily. But search is also a function that is used for product searches in many of the e-commerce platforms, and some people are going there directly, especially if they have already identified the purchase stage and what they're at. So Amazon, obviously, and again, there's a skill set associated with how to build the digital shelf visibility of brands within any of those platforms. Amazon, Walmart is a big sort of global e-commerce brand, obviously focused on the US and elsewhere, less so here. And platforms like Temu, where people are going directly for product searches. There's also social search, and again, a lot of stuff, particularly in the last, I would say, 12, 18 months, building up about what is search within a social environment, even though the search functionality has been there in most of those, if we especially include YouTube as a social platform, which we tend to. Primarily, again, looking at trends and visual discovery is the kind of the purpose for being on there and searching. And a lot of conversation driven by the rise of TikTok and how it performs as a search-specific platform, and the rise of that. And then, of course, the bit that mostly we're talking about here today, the rise of AI assistants, generative AI, LLMs, large language models, or multimodal models, as they're becoming. So ChatGPT is probably the leading brand name that we're familiar with there, but I have a lot of affection for Claude personally, and from Anthropic as a particular AI assistant that we use quite a lot, and Gemini associated with Google itself. And as we'll want to share a bit as well, that's a place where search or search-like behavior is certainly taking place, but again, within the context more of this sort of deep dives and complex questions. But in many respects, never mind just in search, in terms of web destinations on the internet, Google still rules. It's the most visited by some, as you can see there, some huge distance. And in fact, the second place one there is a Google platform, YouTube as well. They are by far and away the largest places that people visit online, have been and still remain. And the rest are a long tail of much smaller at the moment, places where we are all going online from social platforms. And as you can see, they're in 8th place. You can see that ChatGPT is a new arrival and arriving fast on there. But still, Google, all like a lot of things that people like to claim in marketing about things being dead, Google is still very alive and well. And in fact, the number of searches that were performed on Google increased in 2024 rather than diminished. So that is alive, well, growing, highly visited. TikTok, for example, has been called a search platform, but it's fundamentally different. Typically, people search in the way we described there, but once you conducted that search, you're being then served algorithmically served content, and that's then what people do. They don't tend to pursue a journey in the same way that we would with a Google search, where we will, in 42% of examples, click through to websites. As a result of that search, it becomes a search like hashtag a protein check, and then we engage in the scroll of the content that's served to us, rather than pursue necessarily a singular source in that way. So that kind of, not just the way we search, but then what we do once we've searched is different certainly to Google. One of the things that is changing, of course, and that was changing anyway, and has been a feature, I guess, of Google search over time, has been this result of, by serving up either feature snippets or AI overviews, the intention within Google to try and give you the complete answer means that the click-through rates have been a diminishing factor. So fewer people, even with the links and citations included there, are necessarily clicking on those because they've got their top 10, they got their answer, in some cases contained within that AI overview, and increasingly accurate. The sort of hallucinations part of that, probably less than a lot of us were critical of when it first launched. So the landscape's changing. Google hasn't been knocked off its perch, at least in terms of, well, not just search, but as an overall massive presence in all of our online behavior in that respect. But there is a rapid rise, particularly of the AI models as well as the social search.